Hey everyone, it is the Redmen Originals podcast. I'm Paul Machin. Chris Pajak is alongside me, Chloe Bloxham and Dan Clubb as well. I don't even know where to begin, Chris. I wonder if any of that bled over. Anyone watching, did you hear Chris shout poo just before it started?
Shout poo though, like scream.
Shouted it. Toffee TV have probably got it in their coverage as well, so yeah, it'll be fine. Anyway, we're going to talk about Liverpool, Bournemouth. We're going to look back a little bit on the PSV game. We're going to look ahead to a League Cup semi-final, a little bit on the FA Cup. It's transfer deadline day today. Anyone know that?
I did. Yeah, I've seen other clubs doing business, Paul.
Yeah, just Monday to us, that, Paul.
Yeah, no,
just another Monday.
Just another day.
Richard Hughes even in the country?
We saw him, didn't we, the other day? They brought him out of cryostasis to sit in the stands at Bournemouth. To
watch the players that he used to sign.
He was always going to be there, wasn't he?
Do we think that do we think he's still on gardening leave? Is no one told him that he's actually started, etc., etc. Before we delve into things, I want to talk to everyone, say how you've been getting on. Dan, you spoke to Mark Lawrenson.
I did speak to Mark Lawrenson, yeah. Sammy Lee and David Fairclough as well, but Mark Lawrenson, yeah, exclusively, predominantly. Wonderful chat, actually, on and off camera, sort of pre and post. He was just a joy to be around. I had the pleasure of being in all three of their company for about 3 hours on Friday night. Had some food with them and all that. It was proper, lovely stuff, just reminiscing about the old days. If I was part of it, Paul. It really was joyous, it was. And I watched the Liverpool women win yesterday as well, 1-0 against West Ham. So yeah, and the Reds won on Saturday. So not a bad weekend all in all.
Good week for Dan Clubb. Chris, you played poker. This time last week you were playing poker live.
You didn't know that though, did you, Paul?
No, because I thought you were off for your wife's birthday.
You did. I listened to the beginning of the podcast to check what was said.
I just presumed. I never knew. Because you've been playing poker on a Friday. I just thought, he must be off for his wife's birthday.
Yeah, it's because you never checked the work diary. It's clearly in there. It said CP.
How did we handle that moment, Chris? All right, do we handle it okay, me and Chloe?
I think you two did, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, me and Paul will be having words at some point. And Kat definitely won't be allowed to listen to it.
Text of Kat thanking me for my birthday wishes. Yeah, absolutely. How did you get on?
Third.
Of
5.
Oh, well, bang in the middle. Fine.
Yeah, not good enough, really. I was a little bit disappointed. I had a boss day, though. I went to this exclusive, it's the UK's biggest poker club. Mm-hmm. It was massive, absolutely massive. There was walked in at midday on a Monday, there was 250 people playing poker, just for dough and stuff. It was crazy. We had a little private room where it was all set up. You had little cameras so you could do that and you could see the cards and all that type of stuff, camera above and everything. It was boss. It was really good fun.
Excellent, yeah. Mid-table then, fine.
Mid-table, yeah.
You didn't want to be below that? I mean, you didn't want to be mid-table either, I
didn't want to be mid-table either, but it was a long day, Paul, and I got to the point where I was thinking, if I don't go all in soon and I carry on playing the way that I'm playing, I'm not getting home till midnight here. So I got a bit aggressive earlier than I probably should have, but we finished earlier, so I got home by 9 o'clock.
It's okay. Well, there you go. Checks and balances.
Yeah, exactly.
Very good. Chloe, you did press box?
I did do press box, yeah. Spoke about PSV, had a look to Bournemouth, which ended up going quite well as well. But yeah, it was nice first time on the new set. Still don't appreciate the fact that I've got to rethink my entire outfit every single time I go on there instead of just the top half.
Well, they've got it, so yeah, they've moved from a desk setup to couches setup, and they're nice couches. But
lovely couches, much comfier, don't get me wrong, but I
more
still
to
have
think
to
about.
But you get to show off did you wear trainees?
I did, I wore my Sambas.
So there's an opportunity for you to show off your training.
That's true.
Always
well,
there.
I'm not sure trainers are allowed on that show, from my perspective. Mm-hmm. Sambas aren't really trainers.
I mean,
they're not.
They are the definition of trainer.
Yeah.
Are they though?
Yeah.
But they're not what
Can
I've
you
got
play
on
footy
now.
in them?
No.
They're not on clouds,
You can't play footy in them.
in Sambas.
They're too nice for
I
that.
thought they were made for that. That's what the original thing was back in the day.
Not like the mad,
suede
ones.
Yeah, they're suede. I'm with you a little bit. They're trainees, what you've got on there.
Exactly,
No.
thank you.
They're halfway house.
shoes?
They're the halfway house
Are they
between
shoes?
shoes and
They're
trainers,
best,
I would say.
it's like the best trainees. Right.
Some
That's
off.
what they are.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
you can wear them with jeans, but you
Yes,
couldn't wear
that
them
is
with
it.
jeans. Yeah, I'm with you.
You wear them with jeans as well.
Yeah.
Wear these, I could never wear with
And you
jeans.
wouldn't,
No, I know exactly
you
what
wouldn't
you're
go
saying. I
running
don't know
them. You wouldn't go running them. You couldn't go running them.
No.
Your feet would be ribbon.
You can't go walking.
Trainers aren't always for running, though.
But you can't.
I think they are. The train.
I mean, they are called training shoes.
Yeah.
No, not necessarily.
Shall we move
Do you know
on?
what?
Shall
I
we move
don't
on?
even care.
The guy that does the start time is going to have a field day with this, by the way.
Oh yeah, enjoy. Yeah, the actual conversation we've come for begins here. Yeah, all the best. Hey, fuck yous. It's fine. Just haven't seen you for a while. Yeah, you will know I went over to PSV to watch the game. The vlog from that is coming out at 4:30 today over on Mates TV. So yeah, do check that out. I had a butler. Oh, I didn't mean to. The hotel that I booked that was actually really, really cheap. Turns out it came with its own butler. I shit you not, I did not. I didn't, and I didn't realise it until later than I could have taken advantage. No, not at all.
Good. No, I wouldn't have done either.
No,
Doesn't feel right.
it wasn't quite like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but it could have been. Maybe I've missed out on some antics.
Did you want to carry your bags and stuff like that? And was that the vibe?
No, I honestly, I can't. It's hard to explain.
Were you very distrusting over the fact that you'd not paid very much for the hotel?
Yeah.
I'm not sure this guy works here.
I don't want some. Yeah.
He's here to steal my bags.
There was a lot. I was, yeah. Look, ultimately, when I tried to gain access to the property, no one was there to let me in first. So I was very angry with it as a concept. But then I found out I had a butler. Anyway, it's on Mates TV at 4:30, so check that out. Right, we have got a prize draw to do before we crack on. Last month's prize for any of our Legend tier subscribers on Redmen Plus was a signed Liverpool shirt, 1965 replica. The season that we won the FA Cup for the very first time, signed by Ian Callaghan. Is it Callahan or Callaghan?
Callahan, first one. Yeah.
Because he told me, and now I know it's definitely not it's one or the other, and I can know, okay, Sam, Callahan. We're going to spin the wheel to find out which of our legends is going to win that. I'm going to spin it right now. Can we have a little drum roll, everyone? 96, Merseyside is the winner. Congratulations. Well done. That absolutely sensational piece of Liverpool memorabilia is going to be winging its way to you. We'll be in touch to get your details and all that, but thank you so much. There'll be more details on this month's prize a little bit later in the podcast, so stay tuned. Right. Bournemouth 0, Liverpool 2 is what we're going to get to, because I want to start with PSV. I've not really spoken to anyone really about it after the fact. We did a little bit of chat pre-match at the weekend. The rotation was wild. We all made, particularly me, made absolute knobs of ourselves. All of us, though, made knobs of ourselves. What?
I most certainly didn't.
Chloe on Monday, when I listened to it back, actually said, wouldn't be taking any of them. Wholesale changes,
Wouldn't bring a single one of them. And actually, Robbo and Costas, I was still fuming that they were even there.
Yeah.
The best was Chiesa, though.
No, yeah.
That was the best.
Well, there is no world in which Mo Salah doesn't play this game. And there is no way that Federico Chiesa, having not played more than 5 minutes of football, having not completed a 90 minutes in his entire Liverpool career, will not only play more than an half. But yeah. I mean, listen, you shoot your shot, you get it wildly wrong. I wasn't. The point is that Liverpool changed heavily and actually ended up with the ideal result regardless of the result on the night, which in turn informs how they get to play the Bournemouth game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important to recognise how right Chloe was, though, and how wrong you were on that one.
So
just one more time.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I had a little check to see whether Paul was on the camera. He was. Excellent. No, listen, obviously, I think, the wholesale changes made perfect sense, didn't they? I wouldn't have said that I would have expected him to make the wholesale changes either, had I been here on Monday.
Would you have perhaps gone quite as vociferously?
I would have definitely gone with the Chiesa show. It seemed wild that he was going to play 95 minutes of football, which is like more than all of his games for us together, I think. There or thereabouts. But I was absolutely made up with that. And the fact that he was still going at 90 minutes, still tearing around the field and stuff, I was like, who is this guy? Yeah. This is brilliant. Can we have more of this? Disappointing, therefore, to see him miss out a little bit. But obviously, after doing a half a season's work in one night, he probably needed the weekend off against Bournemouth. Yeah. But I think we all knew, because of Robbo being subbed in the PSV game, that he'd be coming back into the side in the left-back position as the starter and stuff. And I think we all kind of knew what side Slot would pick, actually, for the weekend. And obviously how important and how much respect he shows to Bournemouth as well. Because I was saying to Dan at the weekend, we were watching the match in there, I've watched Bournemouth's last 2 games in their entirety for some reason, just falling that way. So I was quite scared about the game against Bournemouth, having watched them destroy, was it Newcastle? And then Nottingham Forest. And then to see us putting a performance the way that we did and the manner in which we did as well, and not missing a beat for having that midweek off, because sometimes you can do that, can't you? Whereas it seemed like from the get-go we were in the game, we knew exactly what we wanted, a couple of little tactical tweaks were made, and it all went rather swimmingly.
Yeah, I'll just on the PSV thing, Chloe. It was a really mad gig because I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I had such a good time. It was one of the best away ends I've been in. I know you've been talking about that idea of them not being quite as much fun this season at times as maybe they should be for where we're at. So it was really encouraging to watch us effectively lose, but still treat it like we'd won. But yet the fact that we got to do that, put all those minutes into all kinds of different legs, and then end up topping the Champions League, group stage or league stage or whatever at the end
Champions
of it.
League phase.
The league. Yeah, it was good. It was really, really good. And yeah, there were loads more positives, I think, to take from it, in spite of maybe, if you just looked at the pure result, you could look at that as a negative, but I don't know about you, but I didn't agree. Yeah, no, I was just glad that I didn't have to panic about a game of football, and not everything rided on that game, It was just a really relaxing watch for me, as long as no one got injured. And like you said there, some of the players, the minutes for the likes of Chiesa, Conor Bradley as well, McConnell, who was absolutely superb, even Jadon Danns to get that start. Yep. That was a big moment for him. Cody Gakpo, an incredible reception he got. He gets his goal there as well. He gets his moment back at his old club. So there was some big positives to take from it, and ultimately Bournemouth was always the game that was most important. It didn't matter whether you finished first or second in terms of the long term. Obviously you want to finish first because it's this entire new stage of a competition, and when people look back on it, who was the team that topped it the first ever time? Oh, it's Liverpool. But yeah, and they probably have a trophy for it. Cool. Yeah, I agree.
But thankfully, Atalanta helped us out at the same time. But yeah, like you said, just
sorry, do you agree that you should get a trophy for being top of Christmas as well, Paul?
No.
Okay, just checking, because it's the same thing. It's not.
I've got a real bugbear, not with the trophy thing, but the fact that
you also have
massive bugbear. The fact that, and this is a conversation for another day potentially, but the fact that finishing top doesn't actually have an advantage, that's nuts to me. It feels like a really simple fix as well. I can't understand.
This is the interesting thing for me, because I was thinking about this after the fact of this. It's been a great week. It's been a really good week, and it's been a really good couple of weeks for Liverpool. And I was going, but actually, we won't know how good it was finishing top until we find out what side of the draw we're on. And then it got me thinking, there was nothing we could have done by that last game anyway to not finish top, because ultimately we lost and still finished top. So it allowed me to compartmentalise that, because I was going, is it a bad thing finish top? If we end up on the really crappy side of the draw and Barcelona end up on the good side, then it would be sod's law. But ultimately, there's fuck all that could be done about that at that stage. So yeah, whatever. We'll have to see on that one. Look, let's down.
Maybe a trophy would soften the blow.
Possibly, mate.
I love a plate. I just want a plate.
Maybe Paul's cracked it.
A Champions League plate with the big logo on it. Like, come on.
The idea of a plate.
You should be all over that when they inevitably bring it in. I'm telling you, you'll be like that.
Will we get a retrospective plate for this year?
We probably should do. Yeah. But unfortunately, how crap UEFA is, it's very unlikely to. They're unlikely to happen. Real Madrid to probably get one issued after the fight. Yeah. Anyway.
So Real Madrid, I take it, will be able to wear the little badge that accoms the trophy as well.
Oh yeah.
Liverpool now.
Yeah. No chance. The Premier League.
Half an hour in one game, and we got to change at the side.
Yeah. Got to peel it off before you're allowed to enter the pitch again for the second half. Dan.
Yes.
Yeah, as we've sort of alluded to there, what it meant was that we could basically pick the best 11 for the weekend. Robertson was the only wrinkle in that, because he'd obviously had no choice but to play him, or decide that he had no choice. And I actually think it was unfair on Marinello for how that went down for him, but it did. You've been saying this all season long. There's a reason why he's not been getting pushed ahead when we've had a shortage of defenders, because he is a bit too young, really. He'll get better, but yeah, it was a compromise that led to the situation that we had for the weekend.
Yeah, so just quickly on Nallo, I was delighted to see him part of the squad again and get his debut, obviously, less so 90 seconds later when that happened, obviously. But what I will say, and I said this midweek as well after the fact, that character-wise, he looks like he's got a pretty tough one. He's been captain a few times under 19s in youth league, and that's clearly very highly thought of. So I'm backing him to bounce back from that moment. But as you touched on there, that's why you don't really throw centre-halves in the deep end. I'm not suggesting we did that, by the way, because it was so late in the game, it was almost irrelevant what happened. That as proven. But yeah, you don't jump the gun with centre-halves, because if you get found out, you get found out in a bad way. It's like goalies, and it leads to something disastrous, and that's kind of what happened in that microcosm of a performance. But yeah, it definitely informed the thinking when it comes to the team selection. And again, it was just the most luxurious of positions to find ourselves in, with all the hard work done in Europe. To be able to travel to PSV with 12 big hitters plus the injured lads left at home was just a phenomenal state of affairs. Not what I expected. We actually finished playing paddle, didn't we, last week? And I got my phone out and seen the squad, and it blew my mind. Because as much as I sat here last Monday saying, I hope nobody travels, and I'd love that to be the case, not for a single second did I think you'd actually go and do it. You know what I mean? It was fascinating. But as you said there, it allowed us to be fresh at it and raring to go on Saturday, which of course we needed, because very good Bournemouth side, but a Bournemouth side with legs and an abundance of them as well, and we needed every single ounce.
We saw it, Chris, with the Brentford game, how important the actual energy that the midfield that we've got needs to be able to put in to compete. Bournemouth are going to be another example of that. And yeah, I now, with the gift of hindsight, it would have terrified me seeing us play Bournemouth if those midfield had any kind of minutes in them from the midweek game.
Yeah, and rightfully so. I mean, Bournemouth are an absolutely sensational outfit. I mean, again, me and Dan were talking at the weekend and stuff. I genuinely think they're the best coached side in the league. I think the difference between the sum of their parts and what they are achieving is bigger, and I put that down to coaching. You know, I think Liverpool are maybe I think Liverpool are the second best, probably, closely following Bournemouth, but our players are better. So you expect us to be able to beat Bournemouth and stuff, but we had to be on it to beat them at the weekend and stuff. So yeah, I think, you know, for me, that middle three is absolutely key. And the tweak that Slot did with moving Gravenberch closer to Trent Alexander-Arnold and having him next to Trent to help with Semenyo and Kirke's overlaps, genius again. You know, I mentioned off camera that I'd watched the Gary Lineker interview with Varner Slot, and he talks about tweaks all the time, doesn't he? And he mentioned that again, and it's going into it and finding out, you know, what are they good at and how do we nullify that? And yet also, when you think about how Liverpool play, Salah plays the highest up the field for us. One of their biggest strengths is Semenyo and Kirkes. So here's the plan to stop Semenyo and Kirkes. And also, by the way, our best players behind your two bombing on. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's class. You know what I mean? And that's, obviously, Salah gets the 2 goals. One of them obviously comes from the right-hand side, one from a penalty and stuff. But that all sort of played into how the manager impacted the game for me.
Yeah, it was really, really good stuff. It was a game that could have been a real stress, and I'm not saying it was the absence of stress, club, but I want to talk to him about the feelings, talk to him about the vibes. What was it like to be in the ground? It
was a really, really good atmosphere. I mean, look, we kicked off, and within 30 seconds we gave them the ball and they'd had a shot, and it was, you know, quite a dangerous moment. But our away end was bouncing. We drowned out their home end there, and even though they had some big chances, by the way, before we could even, you know, look at getting a penalty at the post with Semenyo. Ali had to come to our rescue a couple of times near post. Our away end was bouncing. A lively bird upon my chest was going off on repeat. And we kind of just went through the songbook. And it was a case of the Semenyo and Kirkes was right in front of us for the first half. So every time we got the ball, we could see that Trent was instantly in trouble. The runners needed to be tracked. But I think we just had a little bit of the away end. It's just more belief that Liverpool will get it right at some point. Like, you'll solve it. And that's what is so good about it. And at the first 10-15 minutes, I think we're sat there going, Diaz is coming short, but Dom or no one's making the running behind to take the defenders away, to leave the gap. And then all of a sudden, you know, we do it one time, you see Diaz go in the middle of the park and it's Cody Gakpo and we get a penalty from it, and we're like, so they've realised now. But for the first 15 minutes, we hadn't quite figured it out. We kept losing the battles. Diaz was feeding off scraps. And then it was, there's the moment. That's what we've been doing. We've been dragging those defenders in. We've got them stuck because they're not ready for the running behind, because we've not been doing that. And then there's your moment. That's when Liverpool had solved it. So there's just a lot of calmness, a lot of relief. We definitely needed the second goal, but it was a brilliant away.
Yeah. I want to talk about the penalty, Chris, because
mate, Mate.
I mean, look, let's be fair.
There'll be a amount of chatter when people just open your flipping eyes, for goodness sakes.
Yeah. We said at the time, we were doing, me and Steve doing the watch along, and Cody Gakpo kicks his own leg, and it's like, well, he's kicked his own leg. Now the question is, has he done that because he's a gangly freak, or has he done that because someone's kicked his leg onto it? And the job of, once the penalty's given, the job of the VAR is to find out whether it has. And what I remember saying, there'll be an angle here that tells you how clearly it is. And once they found that, there's no doubt on it whatsoever. But yeah, people do love to find faults in Liverpool getting things correctly given to them.
It's nonsense. They're just people just ignoring their own eyes, like, because they want something to be true. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like,
any chance it came from a load of Arsenal fans, though?
Probably,
yeah,
probably. And commentators not helping matters as well, by the way, making it out like it's a big thing. Like, listen, if it was me running down there, you would question whether I've got the physical aptitude to be able to make that
Chris,
run.
I once watched you trip yourself up by getting your foot tangled inside your own tracky bottoms.
Firebeds with a little hole in them, and then there's the lining, and I got my foot in. But it was funny because I went round a tree, didn't I? You played the ball.
I played the ball round the tree, you ran onto it, and I was anticipating the cutback, and you never appeared from the other side.
That's because I had one leg inside a tracky bottom, and I was face down in the floor. So as I say, if it was someone like me, you could question whether I understand how my legs work. I get that. But this is a world-class footballer who plays for the Netherlands and has scored about 15 goals this season. I'm pretty much saying that he's got good hand-eye coordination and he can run in a straight line without being kicked. He doesn't just fall over like the normal populace of the UK would when they're running. So yeah, I think it was nonsense, and I think Arsenal fans are just looking for something. I think Bournemouth fans were looking for something. I think you could tell by who was the Lewis Cook's reaction to it. He never ever like made it look like it was anything.
Yeah,
but
he doesn't
foul.
turn around and flip at the referee or anything. He knows he's made contact, and he knows.
I was sat with somebody for that game who can read lips, it turns out, and it was Dan, and Dan said to me,
he literally says, "Oh, it's a foul."
Yeah.
He says to his teammate, "Oh, and I said just straight away, didn't I? Oh, he's just mouthed it's a foul there." Because someone's gone over to him whilst the VAR check's going on. Someone's obviously said, "What do you think? Like, you've caught him?" And he says straight up, "Oh yeah, I've caught him." Like, so he never complained. It was the opposite. He basically admitted it. So it didn't shock me at all. I compared it. I likened it to rugby union, because when someone's run away rugby union, if you can't quite grab him or tackle him properly, what defenders often do is just clip your heel, because he just knocks your running gait, knocks your running stride, and that's basically what's happened. It's not a full-blooded tackle. He hasn't really caught him anything. He just clipped his heel, which has meant that Gakpo's collided with himself, and away he goes.
The problem that he has is he's caught out with the ball over the top, which, by the way, Robbo was sensational. We'll get onto that, but the ball by Robbo is sensational, and Cody Gakpo is cutting. He's going to cut inside. He's right-footed. That's exactly what he wants to do. He wants to shoot with his right foot at some point, and you've been beat with the run, so you're doing everything you can to try and speed up to keep up with the player. You're trying to get across goal side, and as you've done that, accidentally, as the player's running, you're just close enough where you've caught him, which means that his momentum has hit his own leg and he's fell over. It's accidental, not meant at all, but it's a goal scoring opportunity and he's in the box. Sadly, it's going to be given a pen. He's never ever meant it, absolutely not, and it's not a challenge that anyone would, make a meal over if it's anywhere else on the pitch.
But
it's
what
just
about the other times that it's happened? That's what comes down to, doesn't it?
Oh yeah,
and what about he was out straight after the match?
Oh, 100%. I mean, Areola had one that he referred to, and this is what I love about football.
This guy had it queued up.
Oh well, but like it was like he goes, and this one I saw it on, I think it was Match of the Day highlights, and I was like, I have got no idea what game this is you're referring to. I don't know who any of these players are, and I could not give a shit whatsoever. But
Why
I'm
is it in black and white?
Yeah. But I'm saying this is the biggest thing in your world, and of course it has, because everyone's got examples they can immediately go back to. And I hate we were back in that world of it all averages out over the course of the season, but because then you've got the backup of, oh well, this is the times when we had a stone wall and didn't get it, and etc. Jeremy Doku kicking someone, Alexis McAllister in the chest.
It's fine though, because I've been there. I go on about that Rodri handball more times than ever before. Like, I will still continue to go on about that Rodri handball at Everton. So like, I totally get it.
And the Odegaard Arsenal one.
Yeah, absolutely. So I get it. The problem is that the officiating is just a grey area.
Can I move this forward? I'll come to you on this, Dan. Let's just do McAllister while we're at it, because we're talking about officiating. He gets the yellow card for like stopping a breakaway, and I get it. I think we all just we've had plenty of these conversations in recent weeks. I think we all largely kind of shrug now when someone's trying to get out there and one of your players impedes them. It's a yellow card. I don't think that one was quite as much of that, because he effectively runs into him.
Yeah,
whatever.
he doesn't get the way.
He steps to the side of McAllister. So for me, it was a yellow.
I'm not arsed for being a yellow, but in no world am I ever having that he should be getting booked for the foul later on the edge of the box. And I know Slot almost then makes it look complicit after the fact by subbing him off, but his eyes on the ball, he swings for it, and the guy jumps across him and basically throws his bollocks.
For exactly the same though.
Similar.
Well,
wasn't quite the nut shot, this one, but
Chris, no one outside of Liverpool knows who that is or cares. So but you're right. It's mad, and I get it. I know Lineker was saying like that's the penalty, that's the kind of thing that wouldn't have been given in years gone by, and blah blah blah. I'm stunned that people think McAllister should have been given a second yellow for that, because if you can't try and kick a football and you're getting penalised when people jump in your way, really, the whole thing's mad.
No, I'm with you completely. Yeah, it was David Brooks, wasn't it, who just manages to nick in front of McAllister and win the ball ever so slightly ahead of him. And that's all it is. That's all it boils down to. So the ball's dropping from the sky. McAllister's only got eyes for the ball. It just so happens that he's second to it. And I know being late to something often constitutes a yellow card offence, but not in this instance. But it's
different, I think, if you're challenging.
I agree,
if you're both trying to tackle and someone's late, he's trying to shoot the ball at goal.
Brooks should be happy. You have to pay to get a tickle of your balls most of the time.
And he does it didn't shock me at all. The fallout or the animosity from rivals never shocks me, obviously. But the Arne Slot's next action was to take Alexis McAllister off, because McAllister, exactly. And by the way, a totting up process is, whether it be fouls for Liverpool or fouls against Liverpool, often feels like Alexis McAllister's in the round it. So a booking a game is kind of par for the course now with Alexis, it feels like. And then when he gives a free kick away after that, you are then walking a tightrope. So get him off as quickly as possible feels sensible.
The entire away end, after he walked away without a yellow end, so he's coming off in about 2 seconds.
Curtis Jones just takes his top.
Everyone's like, what? It's the derby now? No, absolutely not. Get him off.
Well, Gravenberch was on a yellow card as well, wasn't he? And I bet there was no thought in Slot's mind to take Gravenberch off. McAllister is just a bit rash.
McAllister was narking about the place at that point as well, like, you know what I mean, shouting at people, and fucking, he was as likely to actually get a booking for
dissent or whatever.
For dissent, than anything else.
It was that one where he's on the counter, he's talking about 3 players on, he's past the halfway line, and the player who has been trying to drag him down for like 20 minutes finally rags him.
I think that plays into the manager's thinking, because you're right, he does it as like a bit like a daytime soap, like get your damn hands off me kind of like moment. But we all saw it was the player who threw the elbow a couple of weeks ago.
João Pedro.
João Pedro, and that was obviously a big talking point. So there's probably a little thing there where you're right. Gravenberch is just
still going on at the ref 2 minutes later.
He's boiled over by that point, hasn't he? I think.
So you're probably looking at going, he's going to be his own worst enemy in this regard. I mean, the guys who sit behind me at the match always put an acca on, and there's a running joke about how if they always do someone to get a yellow card, and McAllister is just it. He's just the most obvious pick, unless Endo's on the pitch, in which case it's him. But no, I thought it was a good decision from the manager ultimately, because that's what you're there to earn your money over. McAllister could well, and I mean, Chris, referees are shit. So actually there's just something there where all he's then got to do is do one little innocuous one, and the referee will almost feel obliged to book him again. So
absolutely, because whether he deserves a yellow card for the one where he kicks Brooks or not, it's another foul to tote up next to his name, isn't it, if nothing else? So I think he would have been in line for whatever type of a foul, probably a yellow card next time around, because I think the referees probably think, well, I didn't give him one for that one, and if he fouls again. And ultimately, I think also, and it might have happened slightly earlier than the manager wanted, but I do think that Jones is going to be introduced for McAllister anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jones has quietly gone under the radar this season with how good performances he's putting in and the numbers that he's putting up. He's our third highest assist assister on the, behind Mo and Trent at the moment. I think he's got six assists in the Premier League or something, like 3 goals probably to pair with that.
So all comps, Curtis Jones has got 3 goals and 6 assists so far, which you're right puts him. I mean, in terms of his level on joint goals and assists with Trent Alexander-Arnold as an example. In that, Szoboszlai's got 4 goals and 4 assists, and he's done that in 600
what is it for
minutes.
just
The minutes won't stack up, will they?
It's 166 minutes and a goal or assist at the moment for Curtis Jones.
So in terms of assists, he's 100. He's done 16.690s, if that means anything to you, and then 6 assists in that time. But the point is on the Szoboszlai stuff is that he's creeping above him because he's played 600 less minutes than Szoboszlai, and he's actually putting up those kind of numbers in that.
And he's done all this by almost never giving the ball away as well. This is 6 assists when you give the ball away so infrequently.
Yeah.
Like Trent gives the ball away a lot because he tries a lot of things and he gets a lot of assists. It's actually really hard to pair 95% pass completion and get loads of assists at the same time.
It helps when you just kick it to Mo Salah.
Yeah, of course. But Trent's right by Mo as well. He could utilise that.
Is that an intelligent footballer just giving it to Mo? Is that what that constitutes now? Yeah, okay,
I tell you what, I didn't enjoy the little drop ball situation where he was just taking the piss.
Switched off.
What was that
idiotic?
You know what that is? I mean, because he said he clearly. I'm no lip reader like Dan, but he clearly thought that the ball wasn't engaged until he touched it.
So stupid though, isn't it? Because you could just stand there forever and play out the 90 minutes, having never touched the ball again.
We're 1-0 up here.
Don't touch it, lads! Don't touch it!
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, but more than the ball's not back in play, I guess. You know, it doesn't.
The ball's back in play when the referee drops it.
Oh yeah. No way.
It's just uncontested now.
Yeah.
There was no contest because Curtis Jones walked away from it.
Yeah.
It still was uncontested.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm not listening. Yeah,
it was a mad moment.
It's a dim moment, and I
Didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah.
He was really good though.
He was brilliant.
Funny enough.
Apart from that.
Yeah. I think we were crying out for an element of control at that moment, and he actually offers that with his ball of attention, with his ability to calm things down in the middle. That's not to say McAllister doesn't.
And in the 6-yard box he does it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Our 6-yard box.
Obviously he added impetus as well and quality thereafter, but I actually think at the time and the way the game state was, adding Curtis Jones into the mix was actually wise regardless of the McAllister situation.
Yeah, no, I definitely we'll come on to talk about that a little bit more in a second, but I do want to talk about Allison Becker before we go any further. Chloe Bloxham. I think that was his best game since he came back. I think he nearly had it against Ipswich where he had that made that fantastic save in like the last 15 minutes, and you're thinking that's what he needs. He needs his Allison moment, get his clean sheet, and we can all go, yeah, the best in the world, back in business. And then they scored, and you're like, okay, well that's been kind of robbed from him. So I'm made up for him that he got to have a really huge impact in not just the game in general, but actually getting the clean sheet.
Yeah, and he was needed, at all stages in the game. And I'm sorry, but that deflection off Gravenberch with like minutes to go, that is a ridiculous reactionary save. Like how quick he's got down to that. The ball is practically behind him and he's clawed it back out. He deserved that because I thought he was brilliant. Obviously, the one where he rushes out in the second half, they've played some incredible football down the left-hand side, and I think it's Semenyo. And I've seen that this weekend where someone's either put it through your legs or just literally rolled it past you, and he just storms out, makes himself massive. And there's been, ever since he came back into the side, there's been, I wouldn't say doubt from me, but there's just, I just feel like he's hesitant. That's what I felt like. Usually when a player's running through an own goal, Allison Becker's going to be there, and he makes the right decisions, and he makes it that fast, and that's why he's one of the world's best, because he already makes the decision before, the situation's happened. He knows what to do. He can picture it, and he's out quick enough. Where in recent times, you've kind of thought, he could make a save to that. Has he done the right decision? Has he came out quick enough? Should he be doing better?
Sorry, Clive, but my issue with Allison has not been that, because I think that's the thing for me that's been most noticeably different between Keller and him. I think he's
a shot stopper for Allison.
This is what I'm going to say, is that I think his running off his line has been brilliant since the moment he's come back. The first time he did it and his face came back, I'm like, oh my God, that's what we've been missing. But Chris says it's the shot stopping. He's not been saving stuff that Keller has been saving, and I think Allison should be saving.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think you go back to the Manchester United one, or is it Mainham? And I think he should rolls past him. I must admit the goal. Sorry, Ahmad. The goal that they had disallowed for offside it was down low to Allison, and I think I turned to you and said, it just doesn't seem to be able to get down as quickly, to save it with his hands. I think in years gone by, he quite often used to go with his legs for those types of saves. I've not seen him doing that, and I questioned whether it's actually his hamstring that's maybe changing his style of play. But the one that you reference where he comes out to Semenyo, whoever played the ball, by the way, fit ball to Semenyo.
The control, because on the half turn, delightful.
The disguise was amazing. But
got too excited over here, we did.
The disguise, but it's the weight of pass, isn't it? Anyway, but you watch that camera angle from behind Allison. Normally when a keeper runs out, you'll know this better than me. There's a hole somewhere. Allison seems to run, stretched out on the floor, and there's no discernible hole to put the ball past him, and I don't understand how he does it. It's like he's running, but he's only at an angle of this, and I'm like, how are you doing that, son? And I'm watching it back.
Like he's in the velodrome.
It's exactly like that. He's on the outside of the track. I'm like, how do you do this? There's no megs on. Yeah. There's no chip on. Well, you've managed to cover 10 yards in the space of a blink of an eye.
Well, Peter Schmeichel was the one who was famous, the proponent of the star jump thing, and Pepe Reina used to go up on his knees and be very upper torso, but then Alisson's sort of gone for this sort of hybrid where
he flies.
He stays close to the ground, but he also he trusts his legs to cover the low stuff, and he's got his arms for everything above and beyond. He's taking it to another level. He's absolutely fantastic, and I'm so glad that he got that performance, because I think he needed it. Let's do. Dan, let's talk about the sliding doors moment. We do love a sliding doors moment on Redmen TV. Not that I've ever seen that film from start to finish before, by the way. No.
Oh, it's a good movie.
Didn't even know what years were going on about.
Sliding doors. Oh, I know this is an age thing, Chloe, but come on, sliding doors.
I'm aware of being a film, but I've never seen it.
No,
mate, I don't think she was born when The Lord of the Rings was out.
Yeah.
You're talking sliding doors.
I know what that one is.
But sliding doors is mid-90s.
Is this a bit like how people think that being a stan is is just a thing, as opposed to realising that it comes from the Eminem song?
I'm glad that you said that, because I thought it came from the Eminem song, but when you started
Eminem
to bring it in,
playing,
did it? Yeah.
Interesting. Weird, isn't it?
It's a bit weird.
Is that
anyway, the expression sliding doors comes from a Gwyneth Paltrow film, where effectively, and I know I've seen this much of it, where the sliding doors on a tube decides someone's life, whether they get on the train with a person or miss out on being with a person, and then it splits off in two different directions, whether they meet and fall in love with this person, and so on and so forth. So the sliding doors moment.
You don't really need to watch it, actually, Paul. You pretty much know.
Literally, you're fine.
Chloe, it's probably not worth 2 hours for you at this point.
So if you're desperate for Gwyneth Paltrow, just watch the Iron Man films, it'll be fine. The thing is, the Clivert miss. We're 1-0 up. That ball drops to him, and it's a goal. I'm sorry, it's a goal. And I do wonder whether we are living in that other timeline. That was a divergent moment in all of our lives, because I can see quite easily, it's a bit like Divock Origi with the corner against Barcelona. There's definitely a version of that where he just sticks that in the bottom corner and it's 1-1 and who knows what happens. But he misses, and it's easy to say this now than it would have been to say at the time, though I tried. That felt like a pivotal moment, certainly in the game, and we'll see as the season progresses. But honestly, at 1-1, their crowd's up. We've worked really hard at that point. Having to then go and find another goal is just a different game to then going and making it 2-0.
It is, and obviously the manner in which they did. I mean, we were in the corner behind, and I think it's Tavernier, is it, who hits the shot, post, and we all went goal, because it looked like it was bending in. You get the look, they've already hit the post in the first half. You get the look of it coming off the inside of the post, and I'm pretty sure I saw a video on Twitter afterwards where they've missed against, I don't know whether it was City, but they've missed that exact same chance in that exact same spot of that ground, and he's the same finish has happened where it's being ballooned wide and up, and it's fallen to their star player right now. Semenyo's brilliant, Kirkes is brilliant, Kluivert's been getting hat-tricks, Kluivert's been literally playing and doing whatever he wants in the middle of the park, and it falls to the player who they probably want it to land to most. And it was a major moment, because everyone in that ground knows that should be a goal. All the way in knows it should be a goal. We're all looking, saying, you've got away with it. Now you've got to go and, take advantage of the luck. And And yeah, like you said, a massive moment which went in our favour. But to win league titles, to win things like that, you have to have luck. You need the luck. And thankfully, that the luck landed with us on that point. And Mo Salah goes and does what Mo Salah does next.
But the thing with me, watching that, obviously on the telly, like, he looks at the spot where the ball bounced straight away. Did anyone else notice this?
I was too busy.
He looks down, and then he's like, looks where the ball went, and then he like looks over to the people that are looking at him, and he looks back down at the spot, and he couldn't believe the bounce.
Yeah.
But I've watched, when you watch it back after that, the bounce doesn't change as I can see it, but he knows. It's like, have you seen that one where the basketballer is on the court and it's a dead spot, and he just can't, his head's like, no, I know I wasn't looking at it, but I know where that, and he found it, didn't he, that it was wrong. Yeah. Like, it must have had a bad bounce there, because he just knew straight away.
The alternative to that, Chris, have you ever just randomly tripped up in the streets and then you look back at the spot at which you tripped, as though it was definitely that particular spot that was a fault, not your own legs?
Did I ever tell you about the one in San Francisco?
Oh, go on.
Oh, so we went to San Francisco. Well, actually, we were in San Jose. Yeah. I got the train into San Francisco to go and do a live show, and you were in San Jose still. So I get the train in, having a great time. I had to go and buy a tripod for myself. Found this place in San Francisco. I'm walking along with a tripod. Now, the curbs are pretty big in San Francisco, not in tripod.
No.
And I just, as we were crossing the road, I kicked the curb and skidded across the floor into the building with my head, and it, like, you know, slowly, like, but I did touch the building with my head, and like, I turned around and there's like people just like, and I just grabbed my tripod and ran. I was like, no! I am off here, like, you know what I mean? See you later. I know. It was a good catch though,
uneven table. It always is.
So yeah, sometimes that happens, but my instinct wasn't to look back at the spot. My instinct was to run.
Get out of there as quickly as you can.
So what we're saying is, do we believe that Clive got a bad bounce, or do we just think he absolutely spooned it and needed to have something to blame? Dan, you're a sports person.
There's a bad bounce in my book as well. I've done something dodgy in cricket. It's never my fault. No,
that's one where you go through the motion again. It's gone between. It's gone into the wickets, and you're like, oh no, my action was right. I was in the right place. It's the ball that's wrong.
How's that done that? I can't possibly do anything wrong there.
You were having paddle on Tuesday, actually, by the way.
Absolutely, yeah. Do we credit Ibu at all for getting back and making it even remotely?
No. Is this a Declan Rice reference from?
Maybe. No, honestly, because he does. He does at least maybe get into his eye line momentarily and make him think twice about the finish. But yeah, it's a shocking miss. It's a sliding doors moment. It's a huge sigh of relief from the away end. It's wipe your brow, got away with that one. But that was the nature of the game, really, wasn't it? It was a game of fine margins. You know, the class and the quality and the coolness in sort of respective boxes was gone and decided. And we did ride our luck, absolutely, we did, yeah. But brilliance of Allison, brilliance of a guy at the other end. They're the difference makers, aren't they?
Absolutely, love a bit of that. And Chloe mentioned it. Salah goes down the other end, scores the second. His 21st Premier League goal of the season. His 5th season of getting 20 plus Premier League goals. He's now 6th on the all-time Premier League goal scorers list, having moved above Frank Lampard. Effortless brilliance.
Right winger. He's a right winger, and he's I think, I want to say it's either 6 or 8 off Aguero. Aguero was a world-class striker who was a number 9, who everyone relied on in that City team, and is one of their greats. We've got a right winger who's posting these numbers, and he's posted these numbers alongside other, like, an incredible front three, other goal scorers. So he wasn't just he always is, because he is the main man, but he's had to deal with other players being the best in their positions as well, and being, quite greedy as well. And he is greedy, he has it in him. But that finish is a joke. The fact that there's just no power, it's just effortless. It's floated basically into the back of the net. It's a joke. And because there's no pace on it, Kepa just has to watch it, because it's not like he can do anything about it. He never fails to amaze me, and I don't know what to say. I read a stat earlier. I think so far in 23 Premier League games, he's only had no goal involvement in 4.
That's crazy.
That's What is that?
And 2 of them have been this year.
It's outrageous. 2 of them were Nottingham Forest home and away as well. Shout out to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's simply sensational.
Yeah, ridiculous.
So I've got a stat here from Michael Reed's incredible Substack, by the way.
Yeah, good guy.
This is now the 3rd time Mo Salah has got 13 away goals in a season. He did it in 2017-18, 2021 and 24-25. The most is Jimmy Smith in 1929-30, where he got 16 away goals. Gordon Hodgson's on the list. Suarez is 3rd with 14, Hodgson 15, Jimmy Smith 16. Salah's got 3 13 seasons. And also, he actually moves ahead of Ian Rush in 20-plus goal seasons for Liverpool. So Ian Rush only had 4 20-plus goal seasons for Liverpool. Puts him second behind Gordon Hodgson in the 20s and 30s. Mo Salah and Roger Hunt both have 5. Wow. This is the level, incredible. Yeah. And it's a great stat, Michael Reed.
You're never going to realise...
Statistician.
Yes, he sounds...
You're never going to realise just how good he is until... it's just... Because you can't even... I can't even fathom that he's that good, because you've named players. Suarez is the greatest player I've seen play for Liverpool. Steven Gerrard, I did not see the best of him. He'd be second. But Luis Suarez, technically, is the greatest footballer I've seen play for Liverpool. But Mo Salah beats him on absolutely everything and is the best player I've probably seen for Liverpool. But he's not technically as gifted. I don't watch him and think he's technically as brilliant as some
Well, this is how you end up with
Jack Grealish.
No, more like...
Let's not. No. Missed the penalty last week.
This is how you end up with...
Not surprised at all.
Curtis Jones' awkward Eden Hazard interview, isn't it? Of the differentiator between players that are just so... It's like Thiago. I can't argue that Thiago should be considered in the best list of best midfielders ever to play for Liverpool, but I have never seen a footballer as good at kicking a football as I have done Thiago. Absolutely. And that's one of the differences. Salah is just pure. But again, it's not fair to then go, well, he's not, because that goal is genius. It's you're right. It's just curled. It's done nonchalantly. It's like, I'm here and this is what I do to score this goal, so I'm just going to do this and we're all going to crack on. There's no desperation about it. There's no heroics. There's no everyone, stop time, doesn't sort of slow down or whatever. He's just got a space. He knows what he's doing. He kicks it in, he scores it. But it's the technique on it is sensational. Anyone who's ever tried to score a goal where you cut in, even on your good foot, and kick it into the top corner of a goal past another human being, will know that it's insanely difficult to do. And he made that look like it was nothing.
And with about 10 other human beings in the way, not just the goalkeeper. Plus, we've just alluded to how big a moment it was in the game. Very much on the knife edge, very much in the balance. They've just missed a gilt-edged chance up the other end, and Mo Salah seemingly has all the time in the world, and time just stops around him. He just places one in the top corner.
It was a 17-18, 18-19 finish.
Mo Salah
Everton.
Vintage of Puskas winner.
You know what's mad though is that Southampton away, he goes absolutely mental, and we win 3-2, so I totally get why, but that was just as big of a moment for me in my head, and yet he just walks away. He doesn't even come to our side where we're going mad. He walks the other way, and it's just this is just, I just do this every day. And that is a pivotal moment potentially in Liverpool's season. One of the toughest away games, especially with the form they're in. You've just killed them off, gave them a dagger after they've just had an incredible chance. Their fans are now back up for it. You've just completely took the game out of their hands, but in such a fashion, but it's just the norm to you. So whilst everyone's falling over in the away end, you just walk away as if nothing's happened. It's mental.
It's one of my favourite Mo Salahs. It's the one that's just this is what I do, everyone. Just look at me. Look how good I am. Anyway, shout out Chris for Curtis Jones' involvement. We touched upon him earlier, but the goal doesn't happen if it's not for what he does. He wins the ball, he recovers the ball on the edge of the box, he starts us on the
he
counter
passes
attack.
it to Nunes, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And then he's obviously there to take the ball off him, and actually off Diaz, isn't it? Nunes, Diaz, then back into Curtis Jones. Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, I mentioned it slightly earlier on. I think the best piece of work that he did was in our 6-yard box, where it comes back off, is it Allison or the post or something, and he's got Ibu Konate hanging on him, a Bournemouth player, and he like turns around and just passes the ball 5 yards, and it's like composure and control is what Arne Slot wants from Liverpool, and composure and control is exactly what Curtis Jones brings to the team every single week.
Turned 24 last week, Curtis Jones, 24, and I think he suffers the ignominy sometimes, Dan, of having had to grow up in front of us all. You know, I think we do that sometimes. Things don't seem as like, unless you become an immediate world beater, like I mean, Gerrard,
Michael Owen.
Yeah, Michael Owen, and I suppose we remember Gerrard that way, but it wasn't quite. It was a bit more circuitous at times because of his injuries and what have you. But it feels like he's been around a very, very long time at this point. But he's now at 24 is the age where you should be coming into your prime years as a footballer. And even if he only stays this good, he's more than proven he's good enough to be a Liverpool player. Now, you know, I don't know whether he's proven he's good enough to be ahead of Szoboszlai or McAllister or Gravenberch at this point in the season. It feels like it's gone a little bit the other way. I mean, ultimately, I don't care. I just want the best players to play on the pitch for us. But there is a chance that he gets better, you know, and he's certainly got his good years on his side in that regard. He's got experience. He's done a lot of things at the high end of football already. So yeah, he's a real net positive for the squad at the moment.
Oh, absolutely he is, yeah. And all the things there you said are absolutely spot on. But in terms of the experience side of it, he's got an absolute wealth of it already, you know, in terms of the appearances he's made. But I think we forget sometimes that it has been a bumpy road for Curtis Jones, really, in terms of the injuries, in terms of the setbacks had along the way. He feels like he's constantly, much in a similar way to Harvey Elliott, constantly having to sort of like battle some sort of narrative or battle for his place in the side, and often he's won it and then he's had a setback for injury. It's constantly been sort of 2 steps forward, 1 step back a little bit for Curtis ever since he did burst onto the scene, didn't he, when it comes to his derby goal in the FA Cup and all that. And he has loads and loads of quality. He's got loads and loads of characteristics that I think Arne Slot likes in his footballers. And Curtis Jones referenced that himself, of course, pre-season over the summer. So yeah, I think stylistically we are suited to him more than we were previously. But even then, like, his whole game has transformed from what he was when he was in the academy. And I think we forget that. I certainly included forget that as well, because he is a converted winger who's had to adapt to a Jurgen Klopp team and now an Arne Slot team as well. So yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that he's definitely a part of this squad. I think the next sort of bridge for him to cross potentially is making himself a mainstay in starting 11s. He's done that once or twice in his career, but then again it feels like an injury comes and sort of stunts that particular conversation. So yeah, in terms of making himself a first name on the team sheet, that has never really happened. I think the Chelsea performance a few weeks ago was sort of tantamount to maybe being that, but then of course he's not around for a couple of weeks thereafter. But yeah, in terms of where we're at right now, in terms of the squad depth and the competition for places, Curtis Jones is 100% in that sort of realm.
Yeah, and again, you know, there's people who I think almost belligerently, it's not even the people who think he's crap, it's the people who are just who seem to turn their nose up, Chris, at the idea of having a player who's just good enough. You know, and I think he's better than just good enough, by the way. Yeah. But I don't know what it is, and maybe it is like it's the FIFA generation or whatever, which is funny because I've literally played more FIFA. I've been alive in more FIFA games than most of the people I'm counting in this idea. But he's not like he's not Jude Bellingham. You know what I mean? He's not Steven Gerrard. He's not like this absolute shining light of a footballer. But equally, we always use Darren Fletcher's and John O'Shea's as examples of lads who are very useful squad members in brilliant multiple trophy winning squads. And it's when people are so dismissive of that. It's like, what do you want? You'd have to go out and spend 30, 40, 50 million pounds just to get someone who could, I know exactly, but this
Archie Gray was 40 million.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
24 English as well. Like.
You know what I mean? Like, look at some of the fucking deals that have been getting done recently. Like, it's 20 million if you're 18 minimum now, if you've never even played a game of footy. It's fucking stupid.
100 odd games.
Yeah, this is ridiculous what he's got and what he's got in his locker as well. I think, you know, I mentioned he's got the 3rd most assists for Liverpool this season. Like, that's crazy. You know, this is a lad who hasn't even played every single minute and stuff like that. And like, he is clearly a very, very good footballer. Now, you can't, I've always said for years, you can't have a team of Cristiano Ronaldo's. You can't have a team of forwards. Look at Tottenham. They're doing shit. Like, they've tried it now. At least we've finally got proof that you can't do it like that. Yeah. You need to have people with different skill sets. It's about building a team. It's about building a squad. Curtis Jones is a massive part of this squad. Can he become a massive part of the team every week? I don't know. Yeah. I hope he can. Yeah. I see that he'll improve. I think Dan's point about him changing positions is brilliant. Essentially, he came in, 7 years ago, was it? Something like that, as a left winger. We've not only had to see him deal with the rigours of Premier League football and European football and the quality of play that you come up against, but doing that while you're also learning a position as well. I think he's handled himself pretty well. I wouldn't say that he's like, you know, the best midfielder in the world all of a sudden. I don't think anyone's sat here suggesting it, but he's a massive part of the squad that is top of the table. Yeah. And that's brilliant. I wasn't even sure he could be part of a squad 2 years ago that could be top of the table. Now he's an intrinsic part of the squad who is top of the table.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's good and long way continuing. Again, you're looking at the age profile of what we've got. So he's 4 days into his 24th year at this point. Szoboszlai turned 24 this year as well. Ryan Gravenberch's only 22. He'll be 23 probably by the time the next season starts. Alexis McAllister's obviously a little bit older, but I'm fine with that. He's a World Cup winner, so he brings other things to the table. Harvey Elliott, who we consider to be in that, he's about to turn 22 before the end of the season as well. We've got a great little age profile going on for that midfield that 2 seasons ago was on its arse. Yeah. And I said this the other weekend. I don't know if we put the video out in the end, but I think we did it on the podcast about like the heir apparent to the best midfield in the world shout. It's very early days for all of that, but we were focusing on Gravenberch, McAllister and Szoboszlai. Curtis just is right there, and as you mentioned before, he combines and assists. He's got more than any of them other lads, and he's played about a third less minutes than most of them as well in that time. So whether that makes him a world beater, it's almost irrelevant. Just I'm happy to take him on face value and be what he is right now, and that is to say he changed that game by coming on and being the type of footballer that he is. People forget that to win a league title you need more than just 11 players. He can be in that starting 11, but even then, he's your 12th, he's your 13th, he's one of your first subs, and you can't just have 11 boss players because you get injuries, players lose form. You've also got to have competition and fight. Maybe the reason why we're seeing Dom be so good in the last couple of weeks is because Kurt came in and went, "This is my shirt, mate." Well, Curtis Jones and Harvey Elliott are there in training, working their bollocks off every single week. Keep them honest. Exactly. And that's vitally important. So whether you think he's a massive part of the squad, which he is, by the way, on the pitch, he's also a massive part by making sure everyone else make sure that they're great every single day. And Dom there was talk that Kurt should start over Dom. Then Kurt did that, got a little injury, was out for a while. Dom came in Spurs and you were like, Jesus Christ, he needs to start. Then you saw that we'd overplayed Kurt a little bit because Dom wasn't available. It just enjoy them for what they are, because right now Liverpool are top of the league and they're doing it by having boss midfielders, all of which are having positive impacts, and when one doesn't, the other one will pick up the slack for you and make sure that they're making them get back to the best, but also making sure that the team is still at their best. Yeah, definitely. Okay, we're going to wrap up part 1 on that note. A little advert coming from us where we're going to tell you what next month's Legend Prize is. In fact, Steve's going to do that because Steve's great. And when we return, we'll touch on deadline day, we'll do the semi-final and anything else that is tickling our fancy, so join us for that in a sec.
Hey everyone, in December we give away a shirt signed by Kenny Dalglish. In January we give a shirt signed by Ian Callaghan away. Well, it's February and we've got another signed shirt to give to one of our wonderful Redmen Plus Legend subscribers. This time it is signed by not one but 2 icons of the football club. This is a Rome 1984 shirt signed by 2 of the men who won the European Cup for Liverpool on that day. You've got Ronnie Whelan and you've got spaghetti legs himself, Bruce Grobbelaar. If you want to be in the draw to win this this. Simply go to redmenplus.com. Join us as a legend subscriber. Get access to all of our amazing extra content in video and in podcast forms. And yeah, you get loads of perks. You get access to the Discord. You get free merchandise. You get discounted merchandise as well. But if you do it today, by the end of February, you'll be in the draw to win this signed shirt. Ronnie Whelan, Bruce Grobbelaar, get yourselves involved right now.
So yeah, if you go over to redmenplus.com and join as a legend tier subscriber, not only do you get in the draw each and every month for Boss signed Liverpool gear, it is still the best way to support the channel if you want to do that. We had a couple of little things happening on YouTube comments. Matthew Carson said, any plans for the LFC draft series to return? No, but there absolutely can be. That's over there on Redmen Plus if you want to go and check that out. Chris and Steve going head to head, draft picking Liverpool teams under a variety of circumstances. I genuinely love putting the two against each other. I do, because you are so competitive. I know. And there are so many ways, and then when you leave it to a public vote, it's delicious. If you want to get that, actually, and the Bias Football show, which you're going to be doing after this, where we're going to be discussing the absolute state of Marcus Rashford on his unveiling photo, amongst other things, use the code BIASED, BIASED, on a captain tier subscription and get it for just £2 for the first month. Right. Deadline day. I'll come to Dan first because I know you're well more all over this stuff. It does seem very unlikely that anything significant will happen in terms of ins for Liverpool.
Mate, you could ask the man off the street and they'd know that.
Yeah. No, but I mean, it's deadline day, so Sky Sports will be trying to milk some bullshit, I'm saying, of it right now. There'll be definitely things. Liverpool will be doing things. It just won't be the things that people who are desperate for us to sign players will want them to be. So, yeah, by the time a lot of people listen to this, it will probably be over already. So there's no point dwelling on it, the liveness of it too much. No. But I want to start with the question really of, A, do you agree that that's the case, to throw yourself potentially to the Wolves? And also, are you cool with that?
Nothing will be happening in terms of incomings. Absolutely nothing at all. I can say that with absolute chest. Am I cool with it? Yeah, because results dictate how cool I am with it, I guess. And we've just spent the last half an hour talking about how boss we are and how strong the squad is, etc. So, yeah, it's fine. I would have liked, rewind a couple of weeks, I would have liked us doing a little bit of business. I think already spoken about how I feel like an extra DM wouldn't have gone amiss, somebody to sort of take up some of the slack of Ryan Gravenberch. I know Wataru Endo has stepped up brilliantly, manfully in recent weeks in that particular department, but still, I think that might have been helpful. But then I say that, and then you see Joe Gomez back, you see Curtis Jones back, seemingly ahead of schedule as well. Diogo Jota's back in around it as well. Federico Chiesa gets his first 90 minutes, so it's hard not to be at ease with the squad situation right now. But yeah, the deadline day is going to come and go without much in the way of Liverpool news. I think Jadon Danns looks destined for Sunderland on loan, which is quite an interesting move. One that I back actually I quite like. Sunderland are in and around the playoffs, if not automatic promotion spots in the Championship right now. And he's only played literally 7 games of football this season. So go and get some minutes, Jadon. I think it's a very smart decision.
There's something where obviously Doak's that way as well, albeit at Middlesbrough, that it's no bad thing actually if you want to keep tabs on a footballer. Having a couple in that area is probably going to make that a little bit easier.
Tonight as well, Sunderland Middlesbrough. Jadon Danns won't be part of it, but yeah, still.
But I mean, look, Chloe, go on. How are your general feelings on the depth and quality of the squad and the fact that we haven't added anyone this January?
I obviously would have liked us to, but don't we all? Can Liverpool win a league title without signing anyone in the next 12 hours? Yes. Would signing someone give them more of a boost and maybe help them do that? Yes. All of the above can be true. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm one of them where with a fully fit squad, I think, we've possibly got the best squad depth in the league. I think we've got the best squad depth out of us, City and Arsenal. That says that. Like you said, I would like to have signed someone more just for like the boost of it as well. Like your top, all of this is happening. Arsenal tried to get Ollie Watkins, which really would have killed me. Like I would have been, if Arsenal don't sign a striker, like that is the only thing that can ruin my next 12 hours, to be perfectly honest with you. If they don't sign a striker, I'll be fine. I'll be fine with it either way, because I back this squad. It's just everyone enjoys another sign and another little boost.
We're going to do a few of the transfer things on the bias show, but like, let's just double check on this. Ollie Watkins is 29, and I know he's and the one that always gets referred to, Chris, is the Robin van Persie transfer to Manchester United, where effectively Van Persie was buying the last Premier League title for Ferguson. But what it did was it left them in a situation where there wasn't a lot of great years left in Van Persie by the end of that one. And I think this is ultimately why. And look, John Duran moving is a big part of it as well. But Arsenal have got a valuation as well. They're not going to go to £100 million, I guess, to buy Ollie Watkins, even though that actually might be the thing that provides a catalyst for what they're doing. And that's not far off. A lot of the situation that Liverpool are in is the cost to improve upon what we own already is not as low as it was 5, 6, 7 years ago.
No, I think that's right. I think the thing like why Arsenal maybe don't go for someone like an Ollie Watkins is I do think that the PSR having teeth is having an impact on the transfer windows and stuff as well. I think, you know, if Arsenal sign him for, what were the figures that was
60
million quid. I mean, that's quite a lot of money for a 29-year-old who you might get a couple of years out of. I don't think he massively improves them either, to be honest with you. I think he's a better player than
he's a better goal scorer than
Havertz in terms of goal scoring and stuff. But like, then you've got to carry him for 4 years after this season, or 5 years, you know. What does that do to everything, the wages that he's on, the money? I don't think it's as easy as just you can just sell him anymore for, you know, I think you've got to make, you'd have to sell him for more money to even just cancel the money that's in your accounts for the next 5 years, wouldn't you? You know what I mean?
I agree, but can I give you a Premier League title?
That's
because
the difference.
that is
Yeah, but I don't think Ollie Watkins is good enough to give them a Premier League
but
title.
that's what they
Doesn't
think.
guarantee anything
Maybe.
this year,
Doesn't
no,
guarantee anything.
No,
But I think
I don't think it makes them any. I don't think it really improves them to the point where they need to go to 3 points a game. I don't think it improves them to that
maybe
level
not,
at all.
Can I suggest
like,
this
you don't buy Ollie Watkins and win every game between now and the end of the season, which is what Arsenal need to do. So why don't you just go, you know what, if you're Arsenal, let's spend it on a better player in the summer, which is what they should be doing and what they are going to be doing, I think, ultimately. And it's the same for Liverpool. Like, I look at Liverpool's squad and I think about it and I go, there's one player out there right now, and we've just played against him in Kirkes, for me anyway, who I think improves Liverpool between now and the end of the season.
Yeah.
Other than everyone else that's bandied around and moving, none of them really improve us. So I would have liked to see Liverpool go all out and sign Kirkes this January. But I don't know whether there's a huge thing there that he's not allowed to buy from Bournemouth in a certain time period. It wouldn't surprise me, to be honest. It's the type of contract stuff that you would put in there if you were Bournemouth, a poaching a contract of some description. Maybe it's a gentleman's agreement that you don't go back until the summer. Maybe Bournemouth just don't want to sell him now because they're pushing for Europe themselves.
He himself
or he
doesn't
want to move himself. Yeah, so for me, I don't get quite as angry about us not signing, when I don't think there's many players out there that do.
I totally agree on the left back thing. Is that's the one for me where, in particular, in terms of our first 11, that's the one where I can see you need to move one of Robertson or Tsimikas on. I think. I thought Robertson was brilliant at the weekend, by the way. I thought he really was. Having played 45 minutes at centre half in the week as well, which was interesting. But also Tsimikas takes the corner that we score the equalising goal against Forest, so he's got a skill set that he brings to the team and all that. So again, it's not like we've got a pair of bums who can't do. This is not the season where we had Fabio Aurelio and Emiliano Insua as our two left backs, and Aurelio was never fit, and Insua was a kid and couldn't get up to the standard, and then got thrown under the bus and got slaughtered by fans, and then, you know, his career was effectively over. Different worlds, and there's been countless examples of that over the years. The thing for me is it's really interesting is taking it back to the team that started against PSV. So these are the players who played against PSV who weren't involved at the weekend: Kelleher, Tsimikas, Quansah, Endo, McConnell, did Elliott come up? No, Elliott, Chiesa and Dans.
5 of them, Paul. Oh, you did it!
8 footballers who started that game, you know, and you know, to varying ages and qualities and all that kind of stuff. But it goes back to it, Dan. Federico Chiesa, we were having debate, what's up with him? Why is it? the fact of the matter is, right now in Arneslot's pecking order, he's the 6th choice attacking player for us. Federico Chiesa is our 6th choice attacking option. That's fucking class. And that doesn't even count Jadon Danns, who I think we all think has got potential to be a really special footballer. Everyone's got a soft spot for Endo, whatever you might think about his overall ceiling. Elliott's been proven time and time again that he can be a match winner for Liverpool, etc., etc. We all loved Quansah last year. We thought he was again the perfect hybrid between Joel Matip and Virgil van Dijk. Exactly.
It's an incredible position to be in, and everyone's raving about McConnell's performance in midweek, and rightfully so as well. Looks like he's going to be sticking around for the rest of the season too, so there's another option there. But you're right about the Chiesa point, and when you put it in terms of like attacking pecking order, yes, 6th choice sounds boss because it is, but you can go one step further than that and say him and Joe Gomez, by all accounts, were perfectly fit, perfectly fine for the weekend, couldn't get in the squad. That's ridiculous. That is absolute. To have 2 players of that quality, class, experience, etc., not even be able to force their way into a matchday squad speaks to exactly what we've got at our disposal right now. And how many times in recent weeks has the bench been the difference maker? You know, compare that to Bournemouth, who've been on an absolutely exceptional run, swatting aside all before them. They had 2 senior lads fit and available on their bench in the weekend, and we had 9, and then some left in reserve who probably didn't even travel down to the South Coast. Like, it's ludicrous the position we're in. So, yeah, I take your point. The left back thing's really interesting. The reason I don't think we did it is because of Kostas Tsimikas and Andy Robertson. Actually, I think moving one of them on or trying to do something there mid-season feels a little bit derailing unnecessarily, ever so slightly. I don't think we're gonna really broach that subject right now. In the summer, definitely.
I think it would have been different if someone else had come in with a bid for Kerkez. You know what I mean? We're talking about the opportunism of it all.
Yeah,
that's something that triggers sometimes. If you've decided he's your number one choice above all else, if someone else tries to get him in January, maybe that's the kind of thing that
we end up with 3. We carry 3 for this. But then on the flip side of that, if somebody turns up with 35 million for Tsimikas out of nowhere early January, then we go, listen, this is probably going to happen in the summer anyway, so let's just do it now, potentially.
Yeah, because then you'd also, the only reason I thought maybe Liverpool might do it is because if that's an area you need to improve on in the summer, well, another 15 million's going on Kerkez's head, because, you know,
that's never really bothered. You're right, but that's never seemed to bother us. As you know, if he's the guy, he's the guy ultimately.
I get that, but what I'm saying is,
you are right, though.
That is something that you need to, like, you can think about, and maybe getting it done in January. You taking a little bit. I mean, it depends, because they're not going to want to lose him in January.
Exactly.
So
you're not going to. Again, they're having a good season. The odds are it puts more money on his head in January than it puts on in the summer.
Maybe,
if you leave it, because he can continue to have a brilliant season, but he's going to be where he's going to be roughly. People accept end of season transfers, whereas January you've then got to go and you've then got how many weeks or days to go and get your replacement when everyone knows you're cash rich over the transfer.
Can I just say on that, quick? They've signed a left back who's arriving in the summer.
Yeah, Salah, isn't it?
Yeah, they've already signed potential Kirk as replacement. So that summer thing, whether it's Liverpool or anybody else, that feels almost inevitable.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm look, as all, I'm reasonably calm about the whole thing. I agree with everyone's sentiments. It's exciting to sign players, and you know, signing Gakpo was great. Diaz was great. Christ, we're signing Robbie Fowler back in a January and being over the moon, because you get something new to learn and something new to see, and you've got more different potential match winners. But look, Trent gets injured at the weekend, so that whole thing of we've got too many for the bench. As soon as someone else picks up an injury, you're right back to the right amount of players for the bench. But I don't know. We've been bitten by this injury bug thing before. This time last year, it really sort of started to fall apart for us. We need that to not be the case. But even look like at Arsenal. So they've had their injury issues, and it's meant they've had to use Lewis Skelly and they've had to use Monieri probably more than they would have done if the absolute ideal was there. And those lads are flourishing and thriving as a result of it, and we've had similar examples of that over the years. So not only that, you mentioned McConnell and Danns could well end up out on loan, but there's a world where last season where they're actually playing games and getting better for us, and we've got that beneath all of these sorts of senior footballers as well. So they seem I mean, again, Slot seems reasonably calm about it.
Yeah, he mentioned in that Gary Lineker interview, didn't he, that they're working on stuff for the summer and likely to do stuff in January. And I know a lot of that's it's a big red flag for a lot of people monitoring FC and all that type of stuff. Like, but I'd rather be that, I suppose, than Manchester United, who City decide they want to try and buy Cristiano Ronaldo, and then they just go, fuck, okay, then let's just buy him for no reason whatsoever. See, I think there's a fine balancing act, isn't there, between not being active enough in the transfer market and being, overactive. And I think, listen, if I was in charge of the club, I would be more active than we are.
Oh yeah.
Even if I employed Michael Edwards and everything else, but I'm a person who just talks about Liverpool. Well, it's not my job to understand everything that goes into it.
The thing, where I say from my position on this, I thinking about it, I go, I wouldn't, because I'm the guy who used to play for. I can't manage Liverpool on Champ or Footy Manager ever, because I am not brutal enough. I love the Liverpool players too much. So we had a mate, Rich, who would treat it like a video game. So he'd come in and go, well, here's 7 players who aren't good enough, and he would just sell them immediately. I'm like, but like, he might come really good. I really like what he could think of, but the game doesn't think he's good enough, so get rid of him.
He's got no pace, which means he's useless.
Yeah, but his pace, I might be able to train his pace to be good. I really want him to be good, so I'm going to make him be good. And I just love the lads that we've got, and so I can't envisage what the outside would look like. I always tend to think that when you've got a good core of lads, like let's use Endo as an example. Endo is not good enough to be a starting midfielder for a team for like Liverpool, Arsenal, or Manchester City. I don't think, not a regular one. I think he can start isolated games, as we saw last season. But the intangibles of what he brings in terms of his character and his leadership and his experience, and just being completely different to everything else that we own, carries a value that is very difficult to measure. And so actually being able to just bring someone on with 15 minutes to go who just loves kicking people is great. It's not really how you want to construct the 75 minutes or 85 minutes that have gone before, fine. But you could go and get someone who's, again, silky and great. Go and get someone else who's Ryan Gravenberch, and that's probably going to be the ideal in the long term. But while you've got a good thing going, I don't see any reason to totally...
No, you're not totally. No, you're not totally, are you? I mean, I'd just buy players, I wouldn't sell them. Just end up with a massive squad, and then the manager goes, I can't keep everybody happy. And I'm like, well, I am though, so...
Yeah. The Todd Bowley approach to football. Yeah, definitely. I'm all in on that. Okay, the semi-final. So, Chris, Liverpool semi-final, second leg of the League Cup Thursday. It's not outside. I feel... I'm quite chill about this whole thing, if I'm being honest. Spurs did practice their smash and grab technique at the weekend of like, let's defend for our lives and hit on the counter, which is mad that he's decided that's now a thing. But it's funny that Ange Postecoglou, he will do that. They're not going to come, I don't think they're going to come and try and play super attacking football, because if they do, we will kill them on Thursday. So the interesting tactic will be, if they do try to park the bus, let's see how good they are at doing it.
Yeah, I think, for me, I think this one should be relatively straightforward for us.
There we go.
No, I'm sorry. I do. Okay. I do. I think we're miles better than Tottenham Hotspur at this moment in time, generally, over the last 100 plus years. Take a time spell. There's about 3 seasons where Tottenham were better than us and nicking players that we wanted to sign and stuff. Other than that, we've generally...
I think we're nearly... Let me just work this out. We're on 56 points in the league and they're on 27.
Yeah, so more than double.
Yeah, so that means... Are we more... is the gap between us therefore bigger than the amount of points they've actually earned this season?
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go. Cool.
Great maths, Paul. Great maths.
I'm good at concepts, not necessarily the actual admin.
And look, I think, I just do think we're miles better than them. I think the 6-3 is more in keeping with Liverpool versus Tottenham than the 1-0 at their place.
Yeah. How are you feeling about this, Chloe?
I am happy that it's at Anfield. I enjoyed a couple of weeks ago walking out that ground, and they're made up, and rightfully so. You are halfway into a final of a League Cup when you've won nothing for how long. Totally get it. However, I remember walking out that ground with all of the fans and them going, like, they were giving it loads, and we were just like, there's a second leg. Like, it's 1-0 and you're coming to Anfield. Anfield with a team that are top of the table. This is a big game.
Which one? Which table?
Both. Oh, okay. Everything. It's a game in which I think weeks ago, when the first leg came around, to be honest, I was bothered, but it wasn't me main out, like, I didn't care too much about it. And when we lost, I walked out and was like, oh well, wasn't great, only 1-0 down, we're still in the game. Well, it's a football game at Anfield and a chance to get into a final to win another trophy.
And now we are bothered, by the way,
and now I am very much bothered.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and I've got Plymouth at the weekend. Are you messing me? Take me out of that competition. I don't give a damn.
No, I want to win it all now, you know.
I know, yeah, but at some point that'll come undone. I've been there, we've been there before, sadly.
Always a first time.
Let's hope. But for me, Thursday feels massive now because it's a chance to get into another final. It's against a Spurs side who...
oh, shit.
I'm not going to say that. A Spurs side who can cause you a lot of danger, but also I'm just hoping that we can create an atmosphere where they absolutely collapse because that can happen. And I've seen some of the greatest teams in Premier League history come to Anfield and crumble with the atmosphere. And it just needs a moment. So I'm really hoping that the atmosphere is going to have a major impact on that game. And Liverpool have a load of quality. We rested midweek. We'll rest at the weekend. Like, go full strength and go and get yourselves into another final, lads.
The good thing with regards to the homeness of it all, Dan, is that as much as we're technically better away from home than at home, in the Premier League this season anyway, we average over 2 goals a game at Anfield anyway. And as the guys rightly say, there's just, again, it matters. And I feel it personally because people who can watch can track how I feel about the League Cup. It's a very live thing throughout the season. Every season it starts and I go, sack it off because it just eats too much of eats into your legs and your fitness and all that kind of stuff.
Once the quarters are
but ultimately, once you're in the semis, you fucked it because you've got no choice. You've played the semis. It's one more game of football after that fact, and you get a chance to win a trophy. So you've got to be in it. So in my opinion, I come full circle on the League Cup. Now we're here. Fuck Tottenham. Fuck Ange Postecoglou. And fuck the idea of not winning another League Cup.
100%. And we've navigated our way to this position absolutely perfectly as well in terms of team selection. You know, notwithstanding the actual result away at Spurs, of course. We've got ourselves into a scenario now where we've rested and rotated heavily to get here in terms of the Carabao Cup games in isolation. And we invested massively midweek last time around. We got ourselves a hard-fought win the weekend. Plymouth at the weekend coming, as Chloe references as well. So we've got ourselves in a situation now where you may as well just go all guns blazing for it, you know, strongest team possible at home, as mentioned. Anfield, the atmosphere is going to be up for it under the lights without a shadow of a doubt. Chance to get to Wembley, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, we're here now. This is it. Like, why not just go for it 100%? And I always want to go for every single possible piece of silverware because, you know, my childhood has told me that winning Premier Leagues is nigh on impossible. The Champions League's very, very tricky as well. So picking up Carabao Cups and FA Cups, don't take them for granted. And this football club, you know, to coin the old phrase, exists to win trophies, exists to win silverware, regardless of what that looks like. So I don't pass up any opportunity to progress, whether it be FA Cup, Carabao Cup, etc. But certainly when you get to where we are now, like I say, with having used the length and depth of the squad and having used your Tyler Mortons, your McConnells, your Conor Bradleys, etc., 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 forget all that now. I mean, Conor Bradley will play, but you know what I mean? This is it now. Salah, etc. Get them out of the Carabao Cup wilderness. Gravenberch hasn't featured yet. That changes on Thursday. Whole hog.
Yeah. It's, Chloe, I guess Bradley. Is Bradley the only change you're making for this one? And I guess that's enforced because of Trent.
Yes. I mean, it depends. We obviously saw Diaz in the league game up top. That worked brilliantly against Spurs.
He had a great game against Bournemouth as well.
Yes, he did. So, yeah, I think that's the correct way to start it. You've got Diego Jota available again as well to bring on if you need someone to really, you know, take the game out of their hands. You've got Darwin Núñez who can offer something different as well. So, yeah, Bradley is the only change. And to be honest, I'm excited to see Conor Bradley as well.
Yeah. I think Chris Bradley's in this situation now. Well, I actually don't think he's been very good in the last few appearances that he's made for us. And he's at that pivotal stage now where he actually needs a bit of football for us. Actually, a bit of regular football is not going to do him any harm because we know he's got the talent. You know, when he fully unleashes, he's some player. But yeah, he's in that awkward phase now where we still don't know what's going to happen. We very suspect what's going to happen with Trent's future without getting sucked into that mire again at the moment. The last few games have made me a little concerned about the idea that he goes and beats our first team because you remember he's a young player. He's still got a lot of development still to do. So yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully he can stay fit for it, but actually a few games back to back for Conor Bradley.
Isn't obviously, I think he'll get these two. Definitely, won't he? Tottenham and Plymouth is a definite. I don't know what Trent's injury is and how long he's going to be out for and stuff. So, but he does need to step it up. You are right. I think he's come on in fits and starts, but he needs to run a games because that's how you improve as a footballer, isn't it? And just going back a couple of points, if you don't mind, I actually think not only have we rotated well in this competition, I think we've used this competition for the first time to our advantage throughout the rest of the season. Like, I was just having a quick look while Dan was talking about the teams that have played. Like, we've given Chiesa a minute and Gomez minutes and Kelleher minutes, but we've given Gakpo a couple of appearances and Curtis Jones appearances and Kwanzaa and Kanate played and all this. This, for the first time, it hasn't felt like, oh, we're just going to play these guys because it's the Carabao Cup. It's felt like we've used the games in the Carabao Cup for our advantage outside of it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Now, we've still seen you trying Yonis and stuff like that as well, but the fringe players have been getting big minutes, and I think that's impacted their form when called upon in the Premier League campaign and the Champions League so far this season.
Like Sir Harvey Elliott and Sarwendo probably needed those minutes in order to have an impact. And what's so fascinating about that is, it hadn't dawned on me until you were talking there, is that this cup competition doesn't exist back in Holland. For honest, so this fourth competition, this would be the first time he'd had to negotiate that in terms of the squad. So he probably has looked at it and gone, it'd be nice to win, it'd be nice to keep winning games and sort of progress in it, but how can I use this to my advantage? How can I allow that to be a tool to get the best out of my players in the major competitions, you know what I mean? And it has worked on both fronts thus far.
He mentioned it the other day, didn't he, where for that PSV game, he was like, I am technically disrespected the competition because ultimately, at some point in the season, we're going to have to rely on these players and we need them to be sharp, we need them to be fit, we need them to be available and ready to play. And look, a week later, Trent Alexander-Arnold's 3 days later, Trent's picked up an injury and now we're going to have to rely on Conor. And I thought Conor Bradley, when he came on against Bournemouth, was actually quite decent. It helps his confidence, the fact that, he's coming on and being trusted in games.
Getting a few more minutes as well. You're able to showcase yourself a bit more, aren't you? And also, those minutes that he's built up in the season means that he can put 90 in, against Spurs, because you've built him up, you've kept him there, ready, available, and you've also gave him a little bit of competition. At moments this season, people have turned around and been like, people forget how good Trent is, and that's happened at times this season when Conor Bradley's been playing, and then Trent comes back in and everyone goes, okay, well, and look, Trent's had a couple of up and downs this season, but now it's back over to you, Conor. Can you go and get those people talking again? And at the end of the day, if I'm Conor Bradley, I want another medal around my neck. So I'm going to put everything on the line to try and get us into a final.
Looking forward to it. Just on the other side of the draw, Newcastle, Chris, 2-goal lead at home to Arsenal. Yeah. And that's another one where I'd really like to not have to play Arsenal in the final, but also, I mean, it would add some sensational spice to the whole sort of campaign. I would like to be us to be like a Mourinho Chelsea kind of season in that regard, where you just break hearts multiple times. But
it's the best way to really kill off the team, isn't it?
Yeah.
Beat them in the Carabao Cup, beat them in the FA Cup, win the Champions League over them and beat them in the league.
Yeah, 100%.
I've had to get sacked because he can't get anywhere near the spot for Liverpool. So, thank you and good night.
But it's I mean, that Newcastle game, because
Newcastle was so good in that first leg.
And they're geared for this. This is the biggest thing that's happened to Newcastle in a long, long time, to have that, being in smelling distance.
They reached the final, didn't they, against United the other year, and United absolutely battered them. So that was annoying.
But as far as their season goes, they've got good optimism. They're pushing on for top four.
But a trophy is more important.
Yeah, and Arsenal have to come out as well, crucially, and Newcastle will be set up for that, and they'll know, exactly what they need to do, and obviously it's at Newcastle as well. It promises to be a really interesting game anyway, and a lively one, I suppose. And I fancy that Newcastle might win the game. Actually, I think, if I had to sort of pick a score or something, I think they hit them on the counter attack a couple of times as Arsenal really start to pile on the pressure.
Yeah, definitely.
So I didn't pick a score by saying I'm going to pick a score. 2-1 to Newcastle.
Pick a score and tell you how vaguely the game might go.
I'd love the idea of a final against Newcastle. That's just going to be a boss day out. Anyone else want to propose any changes to the Liverpool 11? Any outside shouts before?
No.
I think Tsimikas for Robertson, though.
Okay,
Okay.
Because I don't think. Yeah, I think that's.
That makes sense.
Very much on the cards. Cage like a coiled spring, having not played the weekend after what he did midweek. But I don't think he starts.
Getting his first trip to Plymouth, isn't he?
I think Alisson's going to start, right? But I was wondering whether that first leg, it was because he was coming back from injury and he started. So I wondered whether it's Kelleher's competition. He was just using this game for form for Alisson first time around.
You're back to that thing of he's not going to play Plymouth either, so then you've got another whole week off for Allison and so on. So it'd be interesting. I'm not against Kelleher doing it, but I do feel a bit like we've reached the point of the season now where just keep playing your best play. I don't think we've rotated the way we've rotated to all of a sudden start like rotating more.
Yeah,
you know.
And Tottenham probably aren't going to play the high line, so it might be a game for Nunes. If they were playing a high line, it's a game for offsides, that, isn't it?
Yeah. I think, look, I could see a world where Tottenham are going to throw everything they've got into stopping us scoring a goal, obviously, because they should do. But whether they will, we'll see in the fullness of time, of course. But a Darwin off the bench just to stretch him and be super energetic. I'm still waiting on Chiesa's moments.
Jota come back in, maybe get a goal as well.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, right. We're going to be chatting more about football in general over on the Bias Football podcast. If you want to get that for just £2 for the first month, as well as all the amazing content that we do over there, including the LFC Draft Series, which was mentioned earlier on in the show. Use the code BIASED, BIASED, on a captain tier subscription and fill your boots. So yeah, we're going to be doing Marcus Rashford's move to Aston Villa. We're going to be doing Arsenal's wholly jammy win over Man City. Don't let the scoreline fool you guys or my lack of ability to speak. There's more depth to that statements over on that show and a bunch of other things as well, so do come and join us over there for that show. Or otherwise we'll see you for another Redmen Originals podcast next week.